Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're popping the hood on the insurance industry. We're going to see what makes its financial engine tick, how it runs, and more importantly, how it actually generates profit from a world of total uncertainty.
So let's start with a question that, when you really think about it, sounds kind of impossible, right? How does a company that makes these huge long-term promises, like paying for a car accident or a flood that might not happen for years or even decades, not only stay afloat, but actually make money?
Well, the secret is this constant, really high-stakes financial balancing act. It's all about managing promises versus probabilities. And right at the heart of it all is one single, absolutely critical concept: surplus. Okay, so what is surplus? The easiest way to think about it is as the company's financial shock absorber. It's that extra pot of money, the safety buffer that's there to protect against the unexpected. It's what proves the company is strong. And honestly, without a healthy surplus, the whole system is in real danger.
Now, this isn't just guesswork. This whole balancing act is managed by a framework professionals call the actuarial control cycle. It's basically a continuous loop. You start by figuring out the problem, then you design a solution, like an insurance product, and then, this is the key part, you constantly monitor how it's doing in the real world. And whatever you learn gets fed right back in to make the next design even better.
So, if we know surplus is the output we want, how do you actually build the engine that creates it? Well, it all starts way back on the drawing board, long before anyone even thinks about buying a policy.
You see, a financial product isn't some simple promise. It's a meticulously engineered contract. It's designed in this constant tug of war. It has to be profitable, of course, but it also has to be competitive enough for people to buy it, it has to follow all the rules and regulations, and it has to be marketable. It's a tough balance to strike.
And profit isn't some happy accident. No, it is baked into the design from day one. This engine is built with three main sources of planned profit. First, there's the investment margin. That's making more money on investing your premiums than you promised to pay out. Second, the insurance margin. Basically, charging enough in premiums to cover the expected claims, plus a bit more. And finally, the expense margin, building in a little buffer for all the administrative costs.
But look, having a great design for an engine is one thing. Actually running it in the messy, unpredictable real world, that's a whole different story. A plan is just a plan. Surplus is what happens when that plan smacks into reality.
Every single calculation that goes into pricing these products, everything from guessing how many people might make a claim to predicting how the stock market's going to do, it's all built on a massive pile of assumptions about the future.
And here's the brutally honest truth of the whole business. The future almost never, ever plays out exactly like you planned. Your assumptions are basically guaranteed to be wrong. So the real game isn't about being right. It's about how you're wrong. Are things turning out better than you guessed or worse?
And this is it. This is where surplus actually comes from, that positive gap between your assumption and what really happened. Let's say you assumed your investments would make 5%, but they actually made 6%. Boom, you generate surplus. You expected 100 claims, but only 90 people filed one. You generate surplus. You budgeted $1 million for expenses, but you were more efficient and only spent $950,000. You got it. You generate surplus. This is the engine doing its job.
Okay, so the engine is humming along. It's generated surplus, which means the company has a profit. Now comes the really big question. What on earth do you do with it?
Well, management has a few key levers they can pull. A good chunk might get reinvested right back into the company, to build up that financial cushion even more for the future. Another piece can be handed out as dividends to shareholders, or in some cases, as bonuses to policyholders. And finally, some of it can be used to lower prices on future products, which makes the company more competitive. But this engine, as powerful as it is also incredibly sensitive to what's going on in the world. Things can go wrong, and they can go wrong fast. That's why every engine needs a really sophisticated control panel or dashboard to make sure it doesn't just fall apart under pressure. And on that dashboard, they are tracking several critical risks. You've got market risk, what happens if the stock market crashes? There's credit risk, what if a company whose bonds you own suddenly goes bankrupt? You have insurance risk, what if a huge catastrophe happens and claims are way, way higher than anyone predicted? And then there's operational risk, the danger that something goes wrong inside the company, like a major system failure or even fraud.
To handle all this, you can't just look at what's happened in the past. You have to look forward.
So they use these really powerful techniques, like stress testing, where you ask, what happens to us if the market drops 40% tomorrow? And scenario analysis, which is like, okay, what if a pandemic is immediately followed by a deep recession? These are basically the fire drills for the company's entire financial structure.
And that, right there, brings us full circle. All the data, all the insights from monitoring these risks, it's all invaluable feedback. It tells the designers what's working, what isn't, and how to build an even stronger, more resilient surplus engine next time. And just like that, the actuarial control cycle is complete and ready to start all over again.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world that is defined by constant change and uncertainty, is this whole process a precise science of complex calculations? Or is it really just the art of making the best possible educated guess you can and then being smart enough to adapt when reality inevitably proves you wrong? It's something to think about.